Welcome, everybody. Press. I'm sorry, excuse me. A little confused with the radio show. Welcome, everybody. This is the MMA Corner Prediction Show. I was about to announce the radio show, Press Box Insider. I'm just so used to doing it. I apologize. The MMA Corner Prediction Show. I'm your host, Josh Davis, alongside my co-host for the evening, Justin Fuller. What's going on, Justin?
Feeling good.
Nice. I like it. I like it. We're going to break down UFC 195 tonight. Carlos Condit versus Robbie Lawler. I'm excited for this card. It's not the most exciting card on paper, but I do expect that there will be some solid fights. So we are going to start off with the main card. Let's get right into it. Justin, we got Tony Sims versus Abel Trujillo to start the pay-per-view card. Give us your thoughts.
I think this is a really interesting fight for Trujillo. He's one of those guys, when he's on, he is a world beater, and you just see the potential in him. But he tends to gas early and then not be able to withstand a lot of adversity, especially when he's starting to get tired. I mean, that first round of his fight with Tony Ferguson, I just thought it looked like he was going to put him away come round two. Ended up getting a little tired. Ferguson found his range. And then with Gleison Chabal, I think he had quite a bit of time off, and he just mentally wasn't ready for that fight. So I think it's going to determine mentally how Trujillo comes into this fight. This is his fight to lose. I mean, Tony Sims, I think Trujillo should be fighting a guy like Drew Dober, who's also on the card. I think Tony Sims is kind of a guy, it's like if he loses this, he's getting his walking papers. In fact, either of these guys, I think if they lose, get their walking papers. But Trujillo's the guy, he has potential.
You do know that Tony Sims whooped Drew Dober, right? Beat the crap out of him.
He's lost. I know. I'm just saying.
Drew got the victory, but Tony beat. I was Kate's side at this fight. Tony beat the crap out of him, dropped him 3 times in the first round, broke his hand, and couldn't throw punches really after that. But still did enough to win the fight. Got the takedowns in the third round. I don't know how he lost it, but anyways.
I knew you were going to side with Sims in this one. He's fighting out of elevation, so I already knew where you were going to stand on this. But I think he should be fighting a guy like Drew Dober, just because Dober has more tenure with the UFC, and I think a guy in Trujillo's position, I think this is just a dangerous fight for him to take against a guy like Sims. But I don't think Sims is quite at that level yet. If we see Trujillo walk out mentally at 100%, if not, then this is going to be a big win for Sims going forward.
You know, I hope Abe Trujillo has that same mindset that as long as he's 100% mental, he's going to be okay. Because the fact is, Tony's the bigger, stronger, faster, quicker, more dynamic fighter, has more ways to win. He can take Abel down and submit him. He can knock him out on his feet. Abel's going to be in some trouble. In my mind, this is Tony's fight to lose. Tony has more ways to win this fight. He should win it, and you know, it is what it is. It's a fight. We'll see how it goes. Tony's lost some fights before that he should have won. Case in point, Drew Dober. You know, like I said, he dropped him 3 times. He knocked him unconscious and knocked him back into consciousness in this fight. It's one of those things. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm going with Tony. Not just because he trains at elevation, but also because he works with Shane Carwin. They work together. They're both engineers. They work together. Tony has a full-time job and trains as well, just like Shane used to. It's crazy. But, yeah, we're going with Tony. All right, moving on, we got Diego Brandao versus Brian Ortega. Again, Fuller, start us off. Fuller. All right, there we go. You're back.
I froze cross-eyed, didn't I?
You did. It happens. All right, so we have Diego Brandao versus Brian Ortega. Start us off.
This one, I'm going to go with Brandao because I like the spread in this. I think this one's a really tough one. Ortega will probably get the win, but I would bet on Brandao.
Now, why do you think Ortega will get the win?
I've just liked how he looked a lot more recently. I know he's a younger guy coming in, but I mean, Brandau's a guy who, when he's on, you know, he's one of those guys who looks amazing. He's doing better now, but the problem is he's so inconsistent, and I just don't think he's going to be able to string it together tomorrow. And I think Ortega is going to be a little too much for him. But I think there's still a good shot for Brandau to get this. Any given night, he can make it an early night for people. So this is actually my toughest pick on the main card. I'll say that.
It is a tough pick, but in my mind, this is a must win for Diego Brandau. You know, he's, like you said, he's been very inconsistent. He hasn't produced the way that he should have. He's been flat out humiliated in some fights. So I do think that this is a must win situation for him. And when you're in must win situations, you tend to perform. I don't know. I think Ortega should win this fight, but I don't think he will. I think Brandau will come out. I think he'll have his head right. You know, we haven't heard any of him talking about how he wants to eat somebody's heart or do something stupid. He seems focused. He seems like he knows he's got to rebound and get his act together. And there's no better way to do that than to come out and perform and get this W. So I would bet on him. I do think he's going to get this victory. I think Ortega's the overall better fighter. He's younger. He's going to be a beast, and he might just walk through Diego. But because again, if Diego loses, I think it's not going to be good for him. So I'm going to pick him in this fight.
Yeah, he's not going to get his walking papers. It's just not going to get him to the position where I think he has the potential to compete at, and he'll just be one of those 2-1 guys we see for a while. But I had a 2-1. I don't think Brian Ortega is a 2-1 favorite, and that's my reason to put money on Brandau. Is my sort of let's see what happened. My parlay bet almost.
Well, we'll see what happens. And if you do like to bet, I will say this: go to www.sportsbetting.ag. www.sportsbetting.ag. Again, www.sportsbetting.ag. That's the site I use. It's where I make all my bets.
If I could legally online gamble in my state, I would too. Wink.
Can you not legally online gamble?
Nope, not in Washington. It's like one of 4 states.
All right. Well, I'm in Colorado, and we're cool with it. We're cool with a lot of things out here. So, no, if that's your thing, go to that site. Their payouts are great. Like I said, that's where I bet. I'll be betting the fights there tomorrow, and I'll be betting the games there this Sunday. So, moving right along, we got Lorenz Larkin against Albert Tumenov. I love Albert. All right, I think this is a great opportunity for him to showcase his skills. This would be a huge victory if he is able to get it. It would really send him to that next level. It would essentially put him on the map. Everyone would know that he's legit. The problem is I don't know that Lorenz is ready to give it up. You know what I mean? I don't know that Lorenz is ready to be beaten by the young kid and give up everything that he's worked hard for. Because in his mind, he's still a top competitor. He can still string together a couple victories and possibly get a title shot. So this too is another tough one for me to pick. But I am going to go with the bet. I'm going to go with Lorenzo. I think he's going to be crafty. I think he's going to be able to do what needs to be done. However, to Justin's point and my parlay pick, I actually will be betting on Albert. So that's just how it rolls.
But, well,
yes,
Albert's the favorite, though. He's
he is
a 2.5 to 1 favorite. That's a ridiculous. I mean, I think if your pick is Lorenz, you can't bet on the guy who's the opposite in favorite. Honestly, this is my big money bet right here. This one, when I heard this was announced, I thought this was a really good matchup, and just my initial assessment was Lorenz Larkin's going to take this. And even though I haven't watched a lot of tape on these guys in anticipation for this bout, everything I have watched just kind of confirms that Larkin's been looking really good, moving down to welterweight. He not only moves better at that size and weight, but he moves better against guys at that weight. And he's only been getting better. I think his last fight, he looked way better than against the fight before that. and he's just been in there with world-class competition before, so he knows exactly what it's like to, you know, perform. He knows what it's like to face adversity. I think Albert Tumenov, he's on a tear. He's a dangerous guy. I just don't think he's met anyone like Larkin before. And at a plus 215, I would be putting several $100s on Larkin to win this and be making several hundred more off of that.
Here's the thing. If I was just doing a straight up bet, absolutely I would do that. However, as a part of a specific parlay, there, you know, it is what it is. In my gut, I think, like I said, I think the vet's going to get it done. However, if you just go skill for skill and who should win the fight, I mean, absolutely, Albert should be able to get this fight done. I don't know. It's a tough one. It is a tough one to call. I can't wait to see it, though. Moving right along, we got the co-main event next. Andrei Arlovski versus Stipe Miocic. Lawler, start us off.
Man, you know, this, we've said this about other people in the card. Here's the thing about Arlovski. I think when he is at 100% mentally and physically and on point, there is not a single person on the planet who could beat him. Like, and there's only a couple who problem is, I mean,
Well, it appears that we've lost Fuller. I was trying to wait for him to come back, so I'll go ahead and wrap things up, and unless he comes back. So this is an interesting fight. I love Andrei Arlovski. I'm a big fan of him. He's always been, you know, one of my favorites. The problem is I don't know that the sport's passed him by or not. You know, he's got some big wins recently. He looked great in his fight against Travis Brown. He let his hands go. Yes, he was dropped, but he wasn't ever really hurt, and he was able to capitalize on Travis's mistakes and put Travis down. Then when he comes back and he fights Frank Mir in a very lackluster performance, that fight easily could have gone Frank's way. I don't think anyone was, you know, thinking that Arlovski dominated anybody in that fight. So it was definitely just one of those things. So like I said, I'm a big fan of Andrei Arlovski. I think he has the tools to win this fight. The problem is the last person to truly beat the crap out of Andrei Arlovski, and I mean truly beat the crap out of him, was Anthony Rumble Johnson, and he was able to do it by outboxing him. He was able to outstrike him. He was able to stand in the pocket and go toe-to-toe with Arlovski, and he won every battle. And I think Stipe is going to be able to do that same thing. I think Stipe's jab is going to be the key, and going to be able to use that jab, dictate the pace of the fight with it. And I think Stipe is going to outstrike Arlovski victory. It's a tough one to call. I love Arlovski, but I'm going with Stipe. I think Stipe's got the tools to win it. He's the best striker that Arlovski's going to have faced and probably since he fought Rumble. So I'm going to go with Stipe. I think he's able to get it. I don't know that we see a finish in this fight. I think a lot of it will be slow, but I do think Stipe will land enough strikes to get it done. Fuller. Welcome
Arlovsky, yeah. And you were just saying everything I thought you were going to say. And I think I agree with you, with the way Stipe will win versus the way Arlovsky will win. I think it really comes down to that one factor, can Arlovsky execute better than Stipe? Can Stipe stick and move, pick them apart, or is Arlovsky going to be able to connect and keep solid, right? And I think Arlovsky will. You think he won't, but this is a really exciting fight.
So go ahead and recap, because you cut out and we lost a lot of what you said. So tell us why Arlovsky's winning this fight.
Okay, so when he's on and he's 100%, there's really not a whole lot of people that are going to be able to put up with that. The problem is just inconsistency, and he didn't look really great in his last fight. I feel like we did not see Arlovsky on point like we did against Travis Brown and Bigfoot. But I think he will, if he can come in at 100%, there's nothing Stipe can do to stop him. I think Arlovsky's takedown defense is really good. I think it's extremely underrated. And he's just his clinch game was looking really good even against Mir while it was a boring fight. And that Arlovsky's going to be able to land that solid one to the body and that straight right boom to the head, and it's going to be on point. And that's going to mess up Stipe, and his instincts are a lot better. Stipe is going to try to play it safe. But if Stipe can move quick enough, he can throw off Arlovsky's rhythm and win that fight on decision very easily if he can overcome that attack. I just think Arlovsky's going to pull it off. And plus, I think he's a 2-1 underdog too, so that makes it even that much more interesting to want to bet on him. Bigger payout. I like to chase the big money.
Well, you have to. That's why they call it gambling. I mean, there's really no reason to bet on favorites because, you're not
winning crap.
You're really not winning money. So if you're not willing to take the risk, there's no point in gambling. That's why they call it gambling. All right. Should we move on? You ready?
Yeah.
You're not gonna disappear on us?
No, we're good. We're good. I fixed it.
All right. Then I'm gonna let you start us off. We got the main event for the welterweight championship. Defending champion, ruthless Robbie Lawler puts his title on the line against the natural-born killer, Carlos Condit. Who you got?
I think, I'll just say who I have on this. I have Robbie. I think he gets the finish, like a fourth or fifth round finish for Robbie. I think Condit's going to land more, but Robbie's going to land harder. This is exactly what we saw against McDonald. McDonald was landing first, landing last half the time, and landing more. The problem was every time Robbie landed, it hurt that much more, and I think that's what we're going to see against Condit. Condit can hit hard, but his hardest hits always come after a sequence of 4 or 5 strikes before that, and I don't think he'll be able to get that same rhythm against Robbie. I think Robbie's too durable, and he'll be able to interrupt that and do damage and then start to execute his own offense that's going to throw Condit off. I don't think Condit's going to be able to take Robbie down. To me, Condit is like the hybrid of Matt Brown and Rory McDonald. And him being able to take damage and counter will be his key to winning. I just don't think he'll be able to withstand Robbie's damage.
This is a very interesting fight for me. Breaking it down, looking at it on paper, like you said, Robbie is the power puncher, okay? He's definitely going to hit Carlos harder than Carlos is going to hit him. There's no question about it. But Carlos is a round stealer. And what I mean by that is he takes part of rounds off. He'll take some shots, but in key points of the round, final 45 seconds, that type of stuff, he will land the better shots. He is great at stealing rounds. Look at the Nick Diaz fight. He didn't beat Nick Diaz up. In fact, Nick probably beat him up, but he landed the shots at the right time. He steals rounds. He is great at doing this. Now, I give Robbie the first round, all right? I think Robbie's going to come out. He's going to land some shots. I don't think Robbie's going to be slow to start. I think Carlos is going to be slow to start. So I think Robbie's going to take the first round. From then on, we're looking at a 4-round fight. Can Robbie get the finish before Carlos steals rounds 2, 3, and 4? That's what we're looking at. And so I go back and forth. And because of that, I think Carlos is going to have the game plan to outpoint Robbie Lawler, not beat him up, not win a fight or anything like that. Simply outpoint him, steal rounds, and walk away with a decision victory. I'm going to go with Carlos.
I didn't expect that from you. I think you're just being difficult.
Here's the thing.
No, that's a perfect assessment. I just think when Condit's taking those breaks, Robbie's going to still be able to attack him, and that throws off his rhythm.
And that's the thing.
That's where Robbie's different than Diaz. He'll attack.
When Carlos does what he does, is he going to frustrate Robbie? But who knows? You know, again, because Robbie's a power puncher. He's got the one-punch knockout. Yes, Carlos has knocked people out and that kind of stuff, but he's not going to land the flying knee running across the ring at Robbie Lawler. That's not going to happen. He may get a head kick on Robbie. I don't see it. If, and again, it's if Carlos is going to win this fight, it's because he steals the round. It's because he outpoints.
That's the way he'll win if he wins, for sure.
And it's if. And again, part of why I'm picking Carlos here is because you went first and you chose Robbie. We can't be the same.
We can't always agree.
No. So just to recap, all of the right picks were Condit, Miocic, Larkin, Brandow, and Sams. All the wrong picks were
Lawler, Arlovsky, Larkin. I said I was picking Brandow. I would bet on Brandow. I thought Ortega would win, but I would put money on Brandow. And I said Trujillo.
So there you go.
Now there's going to be two ways we win. One, who had more picks right, and two, who would have won more theoretical dollars on their picks.
Well, I'll either win or lose real dollars. There's no theoretical in my house. You know, when I lose, the wife doesn't come down and say,
Who had better?
Lost some three. Yeah.
Who had better gambling picks?
We'll go with that. All right. There's one other fight that I do want to break down for you guys, and that's Joseph Duffy versus Dustin Poirier, which is the final fight on the Fight Pass card. And the reason for that, and I know people are wondering why is this fight on Fight Pass, so on and so forth. There's a reason for it, because it was supposed to headline the event overseas, and it was supposed to be on Fight Pass. They threw this fight on Fight Pass, so all the people overseas can still see it at live, all of that kind of stuff. That's the whole reason that they did this fight on Fight Pass. So with that being said, I love Dustin Poirier. I'm a big Poirier fan. I think he's a legit fighter. With that being said, I'm picking Duffy to win this fight. I think that kid's legit. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. Not because he's the last guy to beat Conor or anything like that. I just think he's an ass whooping machine.
I'm glad you went with Duffy. Because I was picking Poirier on this. I think just when this fight was announced, especially having it be, that it was going to be moved and we're doing it here in Vegas, I was already kind of leaning towards Poirier. And then, I think Duffy's going to be big name, just not right now. I think this is the fight that gets Poirier back on track. We're going to see him do some big things at 155. And that would also, and, he's a 3-2 underdog. So that's a good, decent payout. I do want to add one more fight though. This Michael McDonald Masanori Kanehara card. Okay, Michael McDonald's a 5-1 favorite. I don't think he should be a 5-1 favorite. I think he should be a 2-1 favorite. So if you're looking for a really risky bet with a huge payout, it's going to be that bet on Masanori.
Well, and we'll get into that closer to the fight. There's no need to throw that out now. Patience.
Yeah.
Patience.
It's all right, guys. There's a lot of good undercard fights on this fight. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. All right. So you can take. He stole my thunder. I had two other fights. And
Sorry.
with that being said, and that's where we're going with it now. So with that being said, UFC 195 this weekend, tomorrow night, January 2nd. Final thoughts on the card. What do you think? Who has the most to gain other than the title fight? Who has the most to lose other than the title fight?
I think it is. That answer goes to both the same person, Stipe Miocic. Big win over Arlovsky. He is like, I mean, you can argue accomplishments and records all day long, but at the end of the day, big name sell fight. Miocic is not a big name, but a very definitive win over Arlovsky in the co-main event of a pay-per-view puts him in that position. However, similarly, a loss, especially a loss to a guy who's some people still consider a has-been, and he's been lucky, is going to set him back big time. That loss to JDS put him on the map. This loss might knock him back the trail.
Yeah, this is not a fight that Stipe can lose. If Stipe loses this fight, it's huge.
It's 5
huge.
fights from a title shot.
It really is, because not only does he have a loss to JDS, who just lost to Alistair Overeem, then he would have a loss to Andrei Arlovsky. He would fall so far down the ladder that, at that point you think about dropping weight class, because
Stipe who?
Exactly. So, yeah, it's a must-win situation for him. I think there's a couple key fights on here. I think the winner of the Joseph Duffy Dustin Poirier fight, I think that person skyrockets. I also think the winner of the Tony Sims Abel Trujillo fight is going to get a bigger push than people think. And then if Albert Tumanov wins this fight, I mean, if he beats Lorenz Larkin, even though he's the favorite, all that kind of stuff, this is the toughest guy that he's faced. This is the veteran that he's never faced before. So if he gets this victory, absolutely, it takes him from here and puts him up here. So there's a lot of fights on here that you look at and you're like, but trust me, people have a lot to lose and a lot to gain. So when you have fights like that, that's when you tend to see people perform. That's when you tend to see exciting fights. You look at the card on paper and trust me, it's going to be exciting. I look forward to it.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. That's it. This card is jam-packed with excitement. I don't care who's more popular. I don't care who's ranked where. These are all going to be exciting fights. And a lot of these fights are going to shape the future of some of these divisions. So this is going to be one of those cards we're going to talk about a couple years from now. And by not only how exciting it was, but by where all these guys were back then and what we were saying about them. So what a great way to kick off 2016.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a great way to kick off 2016. I'm looking forward to it. We will be back tomorrow night with the post-fight recap. Fuller will give you all of his excuses about why he was wrong.
About how I still made money and it's in the aggregate, it works out.
Theoretical money, that is.
Statistically, you need to understand the variance.
And in the background, you'll hear my wife dancing because we won real money with our real bets. So, no, all kidding aside, we will be back tomorrow night with the post-fight recap. Until then, go to the MMAcorner.com, your home for all things MMA, for all of your MMA needs. You can go to SoundCloud and search Pressbox Insider for all of your sports-related needs, and we got you covered there. For Justin Fuller, I'm Josh Davis. See you tomorrow night.